Welcome to the Chrisman Commentary, Daily Mortgage News Podcast. I'm your host, Robbie Chrisman. Topics on today's episode include Elizabeth Warren doing something useful for the first time? My interview with restb.ai's Tony Pistilli on how property intelligence is helping a variety of players in the mortgage ecosystem. And overall, why rates haven't moved much over the last 45 days or so.
Thank you to Wholesale Mortgage Direct for sponsoring today's podcast. Their mission is to deliver high-demand, innovative products unique to the wholesale industry, including My EQ Now, which is a one-of-a-kind traditional HELOC platform. Looking for innovative HELOC, non-QM, and or reverse options? WMD is your trusted partner.
The residential lending industry touches all facets of life, and the best LOs are not strictly about mortgage. They're also good at following debt. Did you know that there's more student debt than credit card debt? Yep, $1.8 trillion versus $1.1 trillion. Of course, there's a huge interest rate differential. Student loans are in the sixes, not far from tax-deductible mortgage rates, versus an average of 21% for credit cards. Either way, there are reasons to refinance homeowners who have a lot of either, right? U.S. Senator Elizabeth Warren, ranking member of the Senate Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs Committee, wrote to the Federal Housing Finance Agency Director Bill Pulte about his abnormal behavior directed at Fed Chair Jerome Powell, including his prolific social media use, and whether these actions are preventing him from fulfilling his responsibilities to oversee trillions of dollars in federally backed mortgage loans and lower housing costs for the American people. Quote, "Your job is to manage FHFA, oversee our nation's mortgage market, and lower costs for American families. Full stop. Your prolific activity on X and apparent decision to take time away from your duties as FHFA director to draft a letter for President Trump to fire Chair Powell are abnormal. Your behavior raises significant questions about your judgment and commitment to operating FHFA in a responsible, competent, and lawful manner." End quote. She noted that since the beginning of July alone, Director Pulte has posted or reposted more than 100 times on X about Chair Powell. Fetish, anyone? The ranking member listed Pulte's 15 posts about Chair Powell on July 16th alone. And I'm not here to kink shame, but Elizabeth Warren continued, quote, "During your nomination process, I raised concerns about your excessive and unusual use of social media and how that reflected on your temperament and fitness to serve. It now appears that my concerns were prescient." End quote. She concluded by asking Director Pulte for copies of all his posts and reposts on social media platforms regarding Chair Powell, for details about how much time social media is taking up out of his schedule, and for details about his involvement in the Trump administration's move to establish pretext to fire Chair Powell. During Director Pulte's confirmation process, she wrote to Pulte requesting copies of the 25,000 posts on X that he deleted ahead of his confirmation, which have yet to be provided, making me think that nothing's going to happen from this most recent request. For today's interview, I wanted to welcome to the show restb.ai's Tony Pistilli to talk about how property intelligence is helping a variety of players in the mortgage ecosystem. He's president of Valuations and has over 30 years of executive-level real estate valuation and lending experience. He plays a vital role in expanding restb.ai's reach in the valuation and appraisal industry, as well as fostering relationships with lenders and related industry partners.
I remember doing an interview a couple years ago that had to do with intelligent homes, and a lot of it had to do with kind of the maintenance of a home, or hey, this thing needs upkeep or an upgrade or something like that. What you do at RESB is slightly different. It's visual insights, but it's still property intelligence, and I'm wondering what property intelligence means to you, and then kind of visual insights specifically.
Yeah, absolutely. What RESB does, Robbie, is, well, let me take a big step back. So one of the initial use cases was real estate agents would go into the house and take pictures of a potential listing. And from the pictures alone, the computer science and the visual solutions that RESB has can complete the listing sheet for the agents. So in the pictures, if you imagine we look at a picture of the front of the house, we can see there's a 2-car garage. There's a porch on the front. Well, these are all things that the machine or the computer vision, the technology can identify as well, and then turn that image into data.
I'm wondering where there's like a personal story that you had where you're like, this solution is needed out there, or how the idea kind of came about?
I've only been at the company for 2 years, just over 2 years, but the company was originally founded about 10 years ago with that use case in mind, that it would help real estate professionals using the technology, computer vision technology. And my entrance into the company was really a focus on expanding into real estate valuation, the appraisals and valuation of properties. And I've been at national banks and AMCs and understand the operational process. And this really fills a blank area of where humans do what I call a stare and compare. They'll look at a data source, then look at an appraisal or a BPO or an inspection, and then validate information. And we can replace that with the use of technology like computer vision.
I remember when I was in high school and I saw Facebook for the first time, and someone hovered a cursor over like a guy on our football team, and his name popped up, and I was blown away by it. This is back 20 years ago at this point, but still, this seems similar where it can actually talk condition of the identify things, talk condition of things. Is that the proper understanding of the AI technology? Or can you explain the kind of the robustness of it as it goes?
Oh, yeah, I would say condition and quality are two of the models that are the most prevalent or forward facing to some of our clients, but there's literally thousands of different things inside of a house that computer vision can identify, and then from that use in a operational process to become more efficient and more accurate. Well, we just our chief product officer Nathan Brannon just released a white paper that indicated about roughly 90% of the time, appraisers will say a property is in C3 or C4, or quality is Q3 or Q4. And it's turning into more of a default where appraisers just assume average. And what we found out in the white paper is an alarming number, a very high percentage of appraisals have a very high risk of repurchase based on inaccuracies in the condition and quality, among other things. So our technology really helps fill that void and mitigate the risk.
So if I step back here a little bit, where does this lead? Where is this leading? What is it going to allow the mortgage industry to do?
The mortgage industry and valuations in general, and real estate MLS, is going to be a lot more efficient because of this technology. One of the use cases in the real estate or MLS area is that agents, if let's say a home buyer wanted to find a house with gray kitchen cabinets, well, our technology can identify gray kitchen cabinets. So instead of an agent looking through every listing to find a house for their customer with gray kitchen cabinets or an outdoor kitchen or anything that isn't readily identifiable in a hard coded box in a listing, the MLS becomes searchable by things that are visible in pictures. And we can do the same thing on the valuation side for operations in creating an appraisal or valuation, and also in the review on the back end. So it used to take time staring and comparing or validating by humans can now be done by machines, taking those images and turning them into data.
I was looking at your website. You have partners on there like Totality and ICE. These are huge players in the industry. What is the relationship there? And why do they see the value in restb?
They're really good partners with restb, and as you know, they have MLS relationships with the MLS boards and associations to provide the MLS to the agents. And so we partner with Totality and ICE and several others that offer the same services. So we reach about 850 real estate agents throughout the country, which is about 3/4 of all the agents in the country, with that technology through these partners and directly with associations.
Next steps for the company. Obviously, we just got connected, and I'm wondering kind of goals for 2025 or how you see things progressing over the next 12 to 18 months.
Sure. The growth of the company has been incredible over the last 10 years, but especially within the last few years. And most of that is in relation to new markets. We're very mature on the MLS side. And within the last 2 years, as I mentioned, we're entered the AMC valuation lender space, but also capital markets, private lending, that area as well, offering the same solutions using the same models that were developed for the MLS in the valuation space.
And yeah, maybe dive into that for a second. How are you helping AMCs out there?
We have many clients like Clear Value, Regora, ACI, Home Vision. They offer their services to AMCs for managing the appraisal process or assisting with the appraisal review. And we offer that visual solutions that add an additional layer of efficiency to the review process or to the assignment process. Appraisal bias has been an issue the last couple of years, and identifying people in photos is something that we do well. And we can blur out the picture, we can remove the people, eliminate any religious item, any objectionable item that might be considered related to bias, but then also check for, we understand if a property has a view of a mountain, and if the appraiser or the broker doesn't identify the view or excludes the proximity to, I don't know, a gas station or an industrial site next door. These are things that we have available through our technology to alert or make rules to make it more efficient. So we help AMCs and lenders focus on those things that need their attention, and then validate through the technology those things that don't.
There you go. Well, it's been a pleasure speaking with you, and I wish restb the best of luck, and hopefully you're integral in that success. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Robbie. It's been a pleasure.
Where's the macro narrative? After 5 consecutive sessions of rate rallies, benchmark yields have retraced nearly all movement since late June, with the 5-year down 17 basis points, the 10-year breaking below key support, and the 2-year regaining lost ground. Despite a flurry of events, like the ceasefire in the Middle East, mixed jobs data, political pressure on the Fed, and ambiguous inflation reports, rates have essentially round-tripped over the past month, leaving markets with plenty of volatility but little lasting direction. The market did not receive any economic data to influence yesterday's trade, and things will remain subdued on that front today as well. One point of note, there's likely more pressure on consumer prices coming. Import prices, excluding fuel, were up notably in June, suggesting foreign companies aren't shouldering the burden by offering U.S. firms lower prices. This challenges President Trump's claims that other countries pay the rate on his ever-evolving tariffs. Today's economic calendar kicked off with mortgage applications increasing 0.8% from 1 week earlier, according to data from the Mortgage Bankers Association's weekly mortgage application survey for the week ending July 18th. Later today brings existing home sales for June and Treasury activity that will be headlined by an auction of $13 billion in reopened 20-year bonds and a buyback for illiquidity purposes in 3- and 5-year coupons for up to $4 billion. We begin Wednesday with agency MBS prices, little change from Tuesday's close, the 2-year yielding 3.84 and the 10-year yielding 4.36 after closing yesterday at 4.34%. Let's wrap up with a joke and some housekeeping. Alert! A shop assistant fought off an armed robber with a labeling gun. Police are looking for a man with a price on his head. But Thanks again to Wholesale Mortgage Direct, whose mission is to deliver high-demand, innovative products unique to the wholesale industry, including MyEQ Now, which is a one-of-a-kind traditional HELOC platform. WMD is your trusted partner for innovative HELOC, non-QM, and/or reverse options.